Supportive nukes are the best archetype in the game, and we got a bunch of them in this banner. Let's get into this. The Fallen banner always has a lot of fun stuff, and first up we have Veyle, and I've been waiting for Fallen Veyle. Like, this has been something I've been really excited about. I have no idea why she's picking on Gateau. None whatsoever. That is a really interesting thing, but let's get into this. This is Fell Child's Might is the weapon. We've got Slaying for allies within 2 spaces of unit, reduces damage from attacks by 30% during allies combat, excluding area of effect specials. If unit initiates combat or foe's range equals 2, inflicts attack res -6 on foe, inflicts penalty on foe's attack res equals 20% of unit's res at start of combat, and reduces damage from attacks by 30% excluding AoEs, and grants special cooldown charge +1 to unit per attack during combat. And also, if unit's res is greater than foe's res +10 during combat, unit attacks twice. This unit is going to hit hard, and you're going to want to stack a lot of res. This is one of those units where res is going to be more important than attack as far as the boons and banes go. That's going to be something that you're going to want to look out for. Iceberg is going to be great. If you're really looking for this unit as a nuke, Glacies is probably going to be your target and get some extra cooldown from some other source, including Marth Ring, which makes it pretty easy. So next up we have Crystalline Water, and this is grants attack res +8 and afflicts defense -8. So at start of player phase or enemy phase, neutralizes panic or penalties to units attack and res. That's really nice. We don't see just a whole lot of panic. It is something that pops up though. The penalty neutralization though can be key and is a lot of fun as long as you're not running Legendary Robin. Attack res tempo 4 is definitely the special for this unit, particularly if you're proccing Brave. Being able to get that Iceberg off reliably is going to be very important, and that's what's going to allow you to do that. But we're not to the big part yet. This is Fell's Successor. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, inflicts attack res -5 on foe during combat, and also if unit's res is greater than foe's res +5, and if foe's attack can trigger foe special, inflicts special cooldown count +1 on foe before foe's first attack. And also, if foe's range equals 2, inflicts additional special cooldown count +1 before foe's first follow-up attack. Cannot exceed foe's maximum special cooldown. Now, you caught that, right? That is, unit comes in, hits you once, but has scowl. You hit back. Unit comes in again, gets hit again with scowl. So this is a way to get scowl on a follow-up attack. This is really nice. This is perfect for special spamming units. This is an excellent support right now. Grants attack defense res +4 to allies within 2 spaces of unit during combat. That 2 spaces is not great, but that's really not what we're here for. For allies within 2 spaces of unit, if this unit's res is greater than or equal to allies foe's res +5 at start of combat, and a foe's attack can trigger foe special, you get the same scowl effect on the first and second attack as long as the enemy is ranged. That's very good. Now, I said it just a second ago, within 2 spaces is very inhibitive. It's not the best, but this is an excellent effect, and I like the way there is a bit of counterplay there by if you get too far away from this Veyle, then it doesn't work. It's tough to complain about this. This is excellent. It's not going to do anything about burn damage though, which is the biggest way to get damage on your opponent right now. So that is something to keep in mind when you're thinking about this unit. Let's move on though. Next up we have Fallen Ursula, and I like the throwback to her AoE spamming self in her original form. She looks fantastic, of course, and she's coming up against Brave Hector and Fomortis because I guess she wants her revenge. I don't know. Anyway, Dead Crow Tome. This is accelerate special trigger, cooldown count -1. At start of turn, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants special cooldown count -1 to unit, and grants attack speed +6 and desperation to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. And also, if unit's HP is equal to 100% at start of turn, grants additional special cooldown count -1 to unit. This is very obviously trying to get her AoE as soon as possible. It's not going to be Blazing Thunder, you're going to pick something else, but still, this is very good, and you don't get a lot of calves that can spam AoEs. This is something that's nice. It's hard to get that externally, and you won't need that with this unit. So then we have, at start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants attack speed +6 to unit, grants bonus to unit's attack and speed equals 20% of unit speed at start of combat. Now that's big because this unit is going to want to hit twice because of the desperation. What you're going to want is to have that AoE come in, smack somebody, and then hit them 2 more times before you move on. This is an important thing though. Deals damage equals 20% of unit's speed, and that includes the AoEs. So again, speed stack, speed stack, speed stack. And neutralizes effects that prevent units follow-up attack during combat, and also if unit's HP equals 100% at start of combat, neutralizes effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. So that's going to be a great way to try and recharge the AoE once you hit the opponent, 1 time with the AoE and 2 more times. Then we have Verge of Death, which I like that Moon in the Discord call this Power Crept Life and Death. This is grants attack speed +8, inflicts defense res -8, and at start of player phase or enemy phase, neutralizes panic and any penalties to unit's attack speed that take effect on unit at this time. This is perfect for her. This is going to be a glass cannon. Pour everything into attack and speed and try to hit the unit 3 times. Let's see what else we have here. We have Speed Res Far Trace 4. These are good skills. I like these. They're not just the absolute peak of the meta, but the additional 7 damage is nice, and inflict speed res -4 is nice. Defense res smoke 3, you're probably going to want to swap that out. I always like defense res smoke in theory more than I like it in practice. Normally I am trying to get every last bit of killing power out of these units, so I just keep that in mind when you're looking at the C skill. That's probably not going to be the one you keep. This art just looks deranged and I love it. This is great. Nurgle is finally in the game. Alright, so we have an infantry green tome, and this unit is fascinating. I am curious what we end up with on this unit here. This is Ereshkigal. I just butchered that and I apologize. We have Slaying. We have at start of turn, if unit's HP is greater than 25%, grants attack +6 and essence drain to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. We're going to jump down. Essence Drain is after combat, if unit attack, grants any bonus effects active on target and foes within 2 spaces of target to unit and allies with the Essence Drain effect, and neutralizes any bonus active on target and foes within 2 spaces of target. After combat, if foe was defeated in combat, restores 10 HP to unit and allies with the Essence Drain effect. So that's already crazy. Like that is a really, really good skill. The thing is, this unit has to attack in order to get that to work. So you're gonna need a very bulky unit. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than 25%, inflicts attack res -6 on foe, inflicts penalty on foes attack res equals 20% of unit's res at start of combat, deals damage equals number of bonus effects active on unit ×5, excluding stat bonuses max 25, and reduces damage by value equals number of bonus effects active on unit ×3. So this feels oh so similar to when folks were celebrating Brave Crom. And obviously this is a little different. Brave Crom has some more utility. This is going to be a fancy thing in your tool belt, but this is a really, really neat toy. There's a lot of things going on here that we're gonna have to unpack once we get this unit into testing, but this looks very strong. You've got flat damage reduction, which is excellent to keep this unit alive, and additional damage. This is a good unit. So let's move on though. And also, if units attack and trigger unit special, grants special cooldown count -X to unit before first attack during combat. X equals number of bonus effects active on unit, excluding stat bonuses, max of 3. So that is a lot. That's a nice jump there. Obviously, Scowl will hurt this, but still, you're going to be able to reliably proc Glacies, which is excellent. Essence Drain is going to be interesting. And again, I want to get that into testing. The way I'm reading this is if Nurgle doesn't live, then this doesn't take effect. But keep in mind, this has gone on all units within 2 spaces. There are a lot of survivable nukes that you probably have on your team that could possibly go in first and just wreak absolute havoc. Essence Drain is an incredibly powerful skill with a lot of potential that I'm not gonna call this just the most amazing thing ever, but I wanna see how it works. I think we're gonna have some really interesting things on Aetherid's defense, as well as in Summoner Duels to play with this hero here. Essence Drain is incredibly powerful. As far as the rest of his kit, I am a big fan of C bonus doubler. It's not the thing that's going to set a unit apart, but it's a really nice A skill and it's a lot of fun. Special Spiral 4 is nice on this unit. Defense Res Oath 4 is okay. So they're very obviously they're trying to get that Glacies to proc and to pierce. We just saw a unit that gives double Scowl, and Scowl is something that's popping up more and more. So there's definitely counterplay to this sort of thing, so keep that in mind. But still, this is a great unit, but his support capabilities and being able to hand out Essence Drain is going to be the biggest thing about him. And now we have our rearmed hero, and who is it but Lumera again. So that's 3 Lumeras in the span of a little over a year. That's interesting. So but we'll talk about the unit. This is still very good. We're coming in here and we're being a melee tank, and we're going to talk about Arcane Fellstone. Accelerate special trigger cooldown count -1 at start of combat. If unit's HP is greater than 25%, grants bonus to Omni equals 25% of foes attack at start of combat -4. So max 14, min of 5. Reduces damage from foes' first attack by 40%. That's okay, but we've seen so much piercing that I am less excited about that. And grants special cooldown charge +1 to unit per attack during combat. And also, if unit speed is greater than foe speed, neutralizes effects that guarantee foes' follow-up attack and effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks during combat. This is an excellent arcane weapon for speedy dragons. Speedy, probably player phase dragons is what you're really going to want to go more towards. But yeah, I like this a lot. This is great. This would be even better if they would give us some form of Dragon Gale Force, which we desperately need. If that happens, suddenly the value for this jumps up dramatically. On top of that, we have Speed Res Scowl 4 because there's just Scowl all over this banner. And to finish off the kit, because we're definitely not done yet, we have Counter Roar 4, which I'm already a big fan of. It's a very nice skill and kind of adds to the survivability of this unit. Let's dig into Corrupted Dragon. After unit acts, applies Divine Vein Stone to spaces within 5 rows and 5 columns centered on unit for 1 turn. So remember, that's damage reduction as well as AoE damage reduction. So this is to allies. You get an Omni +4. And that's within 5 rows and 5 columns centered on unit, which is a nice range. That is excellent. And neutralizes effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on those allies during combat. So there's that half tempo. That's excellent. Then the unit gets, if there's an ally within 5 rows and 5 columns centered on unit, grants Omni +4 to unit. You get the half tempo on unit during combat, and also When unit special triggers, neutralizes foes' reduced damage by X% effects from foes' non-special skills. So this is good. This is a solid unit. I'm not over the moon, but I do like this. We've seen how good Divine Vein Stone is as a support, and as a melee frontliner, it does give this unit a lot of power. You like that. AoEs are becoming more and more a thing, as we just saw with Ursula, so this is a solid unit. I'm a fan. Okay, from here, let's dive into the tier list. Now, first up we have Veyle, and I like this unit a lot. That double scowl effect is excellent. Your support slots in Aether Raids basically come down to one unit when it's not a unit that is a mythic. And I think this unit will be worth putting in there, honest to God. We'll have to get this unit into testing. The thing about Scowl is that right now, specials are doing less of the damage, and we are seeing more and more burn damage and other types of special reduction. You can see up at the top with Camilla and that special reduction coming off of just having the bonus effect there. So that's not to say this unit is bad at all. Like tier 1 on a support heroes tier, like these are the best units in the game right now. That is a very, very high ranking for this unit, but I'm not gonna put that unit up next to Robin, who I think is a valuable unit in all areas of the game. Like that's just an amazing unit. Veyle is very good though, and I think you're going to be very happy if you've been waiting for this unit like I have. Okay, we have Ursula next, and it's possible that I'm too high on this unit, but there's just a lot going for her, and I think being able to hit with the AoE and 2 more times puts her very high up there. If I'm being honest, there's a bit of separation there between Green and Ursula and a unit like Leon, because Leon does so many other things like turning off your units. Leon also hits very hard, so I keep in mind she is next to Leon, but if you are looking at actual values, I think there's more distance there. Still, I like this unit a lot. There's probably a debate there on whether you'd like this unit or you'd like a Green. I like a Green because you have some additional support there just as a unit, but as a ranged nuke, I'm kind of a fan of Ursula, especially with the way the meta's moving now. I'm actually seeing some cav lines pop back up and some very creative ways of using them, and I think she could be very valuable in those as an AoE nuke. Okay, now you're gonna notice that Nurgle is in tier 2, and I may get yelled at for that, but there are things to consider there. And again, we may have to go back and revisit this once we really dig into this. This is a unit that has a lot of very unique things that we haven't played with yet. I want you to think about Safi and Gatekeeper, who I've got one tier below that. There are certain things that those units do that no one else does. And for those specific uses, those units are amazing. I feel like Nurgle is going to be the same way. I do have them a tier above those two, so keep in mind I think he's going to be better because of the very powerful nature of what he adds in the bonus stealing department. But I'm not sure I can put him in next to units like Chloe and of course Sather. And those units I feel are good in their uses in just about every mode. Like tier 0 and tier 1 are kind of like that. They're very good just everywhere. Whereas I think Nurgle will be good in very specific situations. But man, I just have a feeling in those situations, he's going to be incredibly powerful. As a fodder factory, I've got Lumera in tier 1. I don't think she sits high enough in that tier 0 spot where I've got the dancers, Peony and Triandra, who I don't have up there, but I do have her in that tier 0. And Ivy just has some incredible things that she can hand out. I don't think Lumera is at that level, but tier 1 is very strong. Keep in mind, I do factor in how usable the unit is. I think it's going to be difficult to slot Lumera in, but I do think she will be powerful for those people who do get her into their teams. That being said, she is an infantry dragon, and there are a ton of fodder options that you can have for her. One of the reasons that she might drop down quickly, and this depends on how long I think about this, the problem with Dragon and Beast fodder is a lot of it that you really love takes a lot of inheritance slots. And so it lessens the value of a fodder factory who can't give out a ton of stuff, much like someone like, you're looking right there at Lucina, who's an amazing unit, has a lot of fodder that also has pre-fodder that can be easily handed off to other units. Obviously, Lumera has a ton of infantry options that she can inherit and give out, so that is something that, again, she's tier 1, this is very high. But I'll have to think about the Dragon's specific fodder there. But again, very good fodder factory. I'm hemming and hawing because I want to make sure that folks know that this is a very good unit, but might not be able to give all of your dragons everything you hoped and dreamed without a lot of different copies. Again, very good unit though. As far as her support capabilities, I have her over Veyle and Lumera. I feel she performs a very similar role. I think she does better. The thing I like about those two units is their mythics, and we just talked about it. Like you get in Aether Raids, you get like 1 slot for your support unit. Generally, it's just 1, and when you do that, it's got to be something that just knocks you out of the park. And I think it's going to be difficult to get Lumera in there with all of the other stuff you have to accommodate for. So I just keep that in mind. Tier 2 is still very good. I mean, Veyle and Lumera are excellent units. We talked about this. This is just one of the most competitive tier lists there are right now. The support heroes are amazing, and we've had a support hero renaissance over the past year. It's been incredible. If you're interested in hearing my take on merged ordeals and how I feel like that affects the game in general, I'm going to leave the link right here. Members, you are absolutely amazing. Thank you for all you do, and take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.